How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another AFTV live. Make sure you hit the like button first and foremost. You know what it is already. And yeah, we're going to discuss topics about Arsenal. You know what the live's about. I'm here with Goonally. It's been a little while, my bro.
Man, you saying you good?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, listen, man. You know what it is behind the scenes. But yeah, all good, man. All good.
Yeah, I've seen you here and there on the channel, but I haven't done a video with you for a little while. So we've got a bit to catch up on as well.
Yeah.
It might have even been before January I last spoke to you on the show.
Yeah, I think it must have been.
Or maybe in it, but...
No, I don't think it even was January. It must have been Christmas time. It must have been Christmas time, like, or just before it. Yeah, it's been a minute, man. Obviously, I know obviously you went away as well. You had your personal stuff. So yeah, man, like obviously again, prayers to you and the family as well for that. So but yeah, listen, it's good to see you back. It's good to be back, and Arsenal are not doing too bad as well. So yeah, life's not too bad overall, man. Honestly.
Listen, let's pick up in January then. Let's start off because obviously the thumbnail has Trossard and Jorginho on it. That's the main first topic we're going to get into. Reason being because they've both shown something since they've come in.
Yeah.
And at the time, I feel like maybe a lot more so Jorginho, but both were not the signings we had probably hoped to have been making in January. But how did you feel at the time, firstly when we signed Trossard and then when we signed Jorginho?
Do you know what? I'm going to be so real with you. Like, I mean, the Trossard one I think was quite easy because I think I knew the player that we would be getting. I didn't actually think he would be as effective as he has been so far, so quickly, because I believe he's really hit the ground running. But so has Jorginho. But I was a little bit more confident with that one. I think with the Jorginho one, I was confident. I did a video about it and I spoke about how these two players were win now players, and we needed players that were going to help us to win now. We couldn't really. I know we were hyped about the Mudryk thing, but when I took after the embarrassment,
fire died and all that.
After the embarrassment of, I felt like the Caicedo one, especially after we were kind of going for him and know how much of I feel like a game changer he actually can be for Arsenal or would have been for Arsenal, I actually just kind of put that to bed and said, you know what, Jorginho is going to be a really good player. I think he's really, really serviceable. And the main thing I was looking at is Lokonga and Elneny. Most people, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but most people didn't trust these players. This player, Jorginho, is an upgrade on both of them. So I can't complain. I can't sit there and think it's Agent Jorginho that people have been saying. I can't sit there and say that he's not going to be a serviceable player. Yes, he's got his limitations in some of the things what he's really not good at, he really isn't good at with the closing down space. Open spaces, he's not as good at with that. But the interceptions, he's shown.
Yeah, he has,
I mean, I don't want to kind of go too far forward with things, but he's shown some really good qualities, and his passing, the way that he's got that progressive passing is, really, really, really important for us and a joy to watch at times, I have to say. So, yeah, I wasn't ever kind of down on the signing. I just think that I had to remove the idea of Mudryk and Caicedo, not getting them.
Yeah, I get you.
And then look at the two signings as individuals or as a pair and whatever. Very good signings, very good signings. And look, people are going to talk about the likes of Mudryk and how he's kind of looked at Chelsea right now, and I'm not going to be shameless too much. I'm not going to be shameless too much because I did watch a show last night at 9 o'clock with certain man getting cooked. But what I will say is that with Trossard, he does look very good. He does look very good, and I believed in that kind of player and that signing straight away. So I wasn't too worried with that.
You know what? You make a good point with the here and now. And when Mudryk was taken by Chelsea at the time, it was annoying because I thought this is who Arteta must have wanted. Just give him the big signing he wants, and that's what I was backing more so than knowing much about Mudryk, because none of us really knew much about him. There's not much to know. It was more the buzz, the longevity and the rumours, and then his flirting that added to most of the fan base, if not all the fan base, wanting him over the line. And when Chelsea took him, it felt like same shit again.
And I think it's because it was Chelsea and they've done it before to other teams, and it almost is like always the reverse, where we get their leftovers that they don't want, and we're always kind of giving the players that are important to us. It's happened for years. What was it, 2005 or 2006 with Ashley Cole, all those years back, and that broke me, man. That absolutely broke me. And ever since then, it's been one kind of pony after another pony, whether it's been Czech, whether it's been Gallas that no one talks about, and what he did on the pitch against Birmingham when he sat there and cried. Then he went to Spurs afterwards. Like Adebayor, yes, he didn't go directly to them, but that's another player. It's been constant. Czech, I can keep going. It's endless list of madness. So, yeah, look, like, as I said, when I look at the players individually, I think I'm very, very happy with them. And listen, if Jorginho does leave Chelsea, which he has done, and he comes to Arsenal and win the trophy, it's justified. It's justified. I think, you know what, one thing we always forget is any player that Arteta's wanted and he hasn't got, either the replacement's been very good or they've been very, very bad at the team that they've gone to. So I don't know if it's luck. I don't know if this guy's got 9 cat lives. I don't know what it is, but this guy, yeah, everything he touches since last season, particularly, has come to gold. Everything, literally, it's all worked out for him. And I don't know if it's luck or he's playing, you know, chess with people and he's trying to get certain players to go to certain clubs so he can get other players. I don't know what it is, but he's really, really kind of got that real spark.
Must be the man management as well, that side of it, because all the players seem to love him. And
100%.
And after that after that Mudryk to Chelsea, we signed Trossard not so long after. And then listen, I said it in November, if there's, you know, players to go for that, you know, are in their last 6 months potentially of their contract, I think there might have been an option with Trossard, but he was coming to an end, you know, it didn't work out for them in January, especially. He was on the bench a few times, left out, I believe. When we signed him, it was like, yeah, this is a player, when you take a step back from the Mudryk stuff, this is a good player. You know, he can accommodate a couple of positions in the front line. That's what we wanted after Jesus was out. And although Nketiah hit the ground running with the goals, we need another option in there. And I think in recent weeks, that's what, you know, has been shown to be true. But he's been used, well, he started 2 games. He's been used once in place of Martinelli, once in place of Eddie Nketiah. Where do you think he fits best, Trossard?
Do you know what? It's hard to really judge the Leicester thing because they were absolutely woeful. I know you was at the game and you see things more than what you see on TV, and you can obviously attest to this a little bit more, but Leicester were horrible. So it's really difficult to, you know, judge how well he was. But I think on Saturday he was really good. I thought the link-up play, the way he drops deep, the way he sprays the ball out left to right, I thought that was a really, really accomplished finish. And at times, I think his name's Harry Soter, the tall centre-back, who reminds me a bit of Harry Maguire.
Oh, yeah.
He was holding the ball off away from him. Like, there were so many good things that he was doing in the game that really helped to supplement the team. And it did look a bit of a resemblance to when we were playing with Jesus and how he would, you know, switch and interchange. So I would say, personally, that I would like to see him down the middle again. I think that what I saw in the second half, particularly this goal that we scored, the way that he switched with Martinelli, he came to the left, did a nice little piece of skill, nutmegged the guy, passed it through to Martinelli, and he finished it off wonderfully. And I think that's what I think I like. And, you know, ultimately, look, do we have the time to put Martinelli down the middle? I don't think it's the right time to be doing that, and I don't think it's maybe the right thing to continuously keep playing Nketiah through the middle, because he looks good when he come off the bench as well. And look, he's a backup striker. That's what he is. He's been very, very good. Even when he hasn't scored, I think of the Spurs game, he was absolutely amazing that game. But he's a backup striker, and I think what I liked about the Trossard signing, as you said, and what he did the other day against Leicester is he can play in all 3 positions. He can come drop deep. He can pick up these little half spaces, and he can do so much where you're not fixated on the in that central position. But when you go on the left, you can't do that as much because you have to be part of the game plan. And I think Martinelli does what he does well on the left. I don't think he'll be able to replicate the same kind of performance in the middle. So I would prefer him to go down the middle.
Yeah, I can't lie. Me too. Like heading into the game against Leicester, which he started up top, I said, you know, he's both-footed, which is a big thing, especially with your back to goal as well and the ball being fed into you. And I just thought, he's not Jesus, but he can bring similarities to what Jesus brings to the side, the starting 11, and the goal personified that. The goal was pulling a defender out of position, creating the space for Martinelli to run into, a ball through the legs, just added the sauce on the top, and then Martinelli finished it, and that's what won us the game. So if you had to ask me a similar question, it's Martinelli, Trossard and Saka at the moment.
Do you know what? And this is going to be unfair to Nketiah, because and this isn't a dumping on Nketiah. Everyone knows how much I've been backing this guy. Premzy, you know I've been backing my guy. Premzy, we're going to chat properly, but I've been backing Nketiah big time. I think that people have been very harsh on him. But who would you trust to have a finish like the Trossard chance? Trossard or Nketiah?
What, the one where
he actually scored? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But that...
I know it's a standalone.
That's the technical difference in the players.
It's a standalone point in a game, and if he scored that, if that goal stood and he did nothing else, obviously it wouldn't be enough. But not only did he do all the other amazing things that he did against Leicester, as I've spoken about and as you've spoken about, he also had that technical quality to finish that shot the way he did. It was absolutely mad, and it's annoying that he didn't. It was absolutely pinpoint top hand corner. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect someone like Nketiah to be able to do that. He can do all the other stuff really good, hold up play, link up play, you know, those kind of inside of the box finishes, little headers. He can do all of that stuff really good, but I don't know if he's got that technical quality right now to do what Trossard does and finish like the way he did. So sometimes you need a bit of that. And you know, that bit of quality, you know, Haaland's got that at Man City, and I'm not comparing Trossard and Haaland. I'm just saying moments of quality. I don't know if Nketiah's got that on enough or enough to continuously be starting game in and game out.
Yeah, so Trossard's a starter right now until Jesus gets back, that's for sure. Similar to the Mudryk to Trossard, we had the Caicedo hype, you know, 60 million, 70 million bids apparently, and then it was Jorginho at the end, which kind of built a lot of us up, and then the signing in the end deflated us because a lot of people are split on Jorginho. I haven't watched Chelsea 90 minutes week in, week out over the years, but even the Chelsea fan base were divided on him for a lot of the time until, you know, he started proving his worth. It was a difficult time for him at the beginning, I remember. When he came in, I just thought, he's definitely no Thomas Partey. He brings experience for sure, 100%. He's played at the top level of both club and international football. So yes, he brings that for sure, but you've reeled off Chelsea names that have come to Arsenal in the past, and none have worked out in my honest opinion. I think Luiz gets some credit for some of the performances, but overall, you look back at each and every one of those, it hasn't worked out. So it just felt like it's another Chelsea player coming to us when they're looking at bigger and better things. And then we've seen Enzo not have the greatest of starts for Chelsea, and Chelsea, albeit all the spending in the world, that they're still, you know, where they was prior to the all the spending. So it's different times over there. But Jorginho's come in.
They're worse, but
they actually are.
They're worse,
Jorginho's come in against Man City. Listen, I know 99.9% of Arsenal fans were deflated when they heard Thomas Partey was out of that game. Without a shadow, everyone I spoke to in and around the ground on the way to it at the game, it was always first sentence, Thomas Partey's out. Jorginho stepped in, wasn't bad, he wasn't good. I think he had a much better first half than he did second. But in the end, Man City's pressing prevailed, and we had to move on. But then again, Aston Villa, big part of the winner, because the winner was the third goal in the end. He was a big part of that, the biggest part, combined with obviously Martinez heading the ball into the back of his net. And then against Leicester, he was one of the best players, probably top 3 on the pitch for Arsenal, and he's also hit the ground running. You just said about Eddie, you know, Eddie's a backup striker. Is Jorginho a backup midfielder to you? Is he someone that you can accommodate with Partey, or is it strictly when Partey is not available, there's some concerns, he steps in?
Well, do you know what? Like, there's a lot that you kind of spoke about, and I think you've made some really good points. But I'm going to put the question back to you just for a second. It was interesting that when in the Leicester game, Arteta made the substitute and he took off Xhaka, and he kept on Jorginho, and he brought Partey on. He was more the pressing for left 8. So I don't know if it's so confirmed that Xhaka is going to be the one that's going to be starting game in and game out. That's something where I'm not going to be shocked either way. Let's just say that I won't be shocked either way, because when do we know Xhaka to be coming off games? In the last couple of games, but he's been 90 minutes again and again. Arsenal fans are going to sit here and pretend that this isn't the truth, but a couple of seasons ago, we were praying for the guy to get injured because we didn't want him on the pitch, because whether if it was quality, whether it was mistakes, or whether it's because of the incident before, and we just didn't want him to play for Arsenal. Fans did not want Xhaka, or a lot of fans, I would say, didn't want Xhaka at Arsenal. So you now look at it in the position where he never came off. He was always about. He was Mr. Reliable, 90 minutes, game in and game out. And now you look at it and he's starting to, you know, performances haven't been as amazing going forward. I think defensively, Xhaka's still been okay. But I do look at that and think he's now being subbed a little bit more. That's another change that could happen. And we've been crying out for this from Arteta for a while, to use your squad that's the whole thing. What I'm liking about Arteta, he's being forced to use his squad. He was forced to bring ESR in when he came in. He was forced to bring in Martinelli. Now he seems to be more willing to trust his squad a bit more, which I'm liking. Well,
to be honest, on Xhaka, I think no one knows more than the viewers out there that I wanted him sold pretty much every window possible.
There you go.
In the past, however many years he's been here, but this season it's been a different man. Did he come off against Leicester? That was against?
Yeah, he came off.
That was against Villa.
No, he came off against Leicester as well.
But Odegaard come off as well.
Yeah, Odegaard came off, but and Odegaard came. Yeah, Odegaard came off, and so did Xhaka. Xhaka came off
because I remember they all three of them played at the same time. So it must have been Odegaard off for.
No, Xhaka wasn't.
Let me know in the comments. Was it? Actually, a few people have already said that he took Odegaard off, not Xhaka.
Oh, did you take off?
Villa was the one where Xhaka came
okay,
off.
Sorry, apologies.
Different circumstances.
I thought it was. I thought it was. Sorry, apologies. It was Odegaard he took off. But the point.
It was something different.
It was something different. That was what my point I was trying to say. Apologies. Thank you guys in the chat as well. But it was something different, which I was kind of happy about. But I think he has kind of taken him off in a few games this season, which he hasn't normally done, which I like. But I think when we go back to the whole Jorginho thing, and as I said, when you look at it as a standalone signing, Chelsea, he wasn't playing as well. I think he was missing Kante as well. I think that was a big thing.
Yeah.
And look, we know that he can't be trusted. But again, when I spoke about him when I did my video and I spoke about him when he signed him, I just thought, I looked at the research of what he did in the World Cup in the final against England. It was a 4-3-3 that they played. He was a lone six. I saw in the Champions League, he played, and I know Kante was amazing that game, but Jorginho was also very, very good, and it was understated. And I think, look, people will give a lot of stick to someone like Jorginho because, unfortunately, he was voted third in the Ballon d'Or list. And these things stick with people; they resonate with people. And I was like, I can't get behind the player because, well, before he came to Arsenal, I can't get behind the player because there's too much weird propaganda around this guy that. He's not done anything to be like he's doing these little hop, skip, and jumps things to score a penalty, and like people are just starting to give him the too much praise. But listen, he's a very good player. As I said, he's very serviceable, and the thing that I like about him is that you can trust him. He comes into that pitch. We're not thinking about him passing sideways or backwards, what Lokonga's been doing because he's lost a bit of confidence. We're not worrying about Elneny losing the ball under pressure because Jorginho has been there, he's done it. And he's win now, and that's what I liked. He's got the experience. He's a win now player, and that's what I liked.
Yeah, and I'm gonna slowly but surely move on to the next topic as well, which is Arteta's press conference. But there's a couple quotes that are relevant to the press to the topic on hand right now. But Shress has sent in a super chat. He says, "Fact is, we goofed up with the signings in January, but are lucky because our plan B performed. Compare our squad depth with City and United's, and you'll see we are still a thin squad."
You see why, Shref, I don't really agree with that because I think that what people are doing is they're looking at us and saying that we're a thin squad because they don't rate Xhaka still or they don't rate someone like Reece Nelson. But when you actually look at them, all of our players have made everyone keeps talking about how Ten Hag's played all the players and he's made them feel at home and this. Arteta's done exactly the same thing. He's brought in Reece Nelson. He's brought in Ben White. Every single player that's been part of this 25-man squad, even up to Lokonga, has played and been allowed to get some minutes. He knows his job. Rob Holding, he knows his job. So for me, I feel like people aren't giving Arteta the ratings that he deserves. People keep talking about how Ten Hag's done this and done that, and he brings in Fred when it's the right time. So does Arteta. Every single time he brings on Rob Holding, we don't concede. That's like. Why is Arteta not getting the same loving that all these other managers get? Is it because he's the new sheriff in town or whatever it is? I don't know, but it's a weird.
You know what it is as well, because Ten Hag has come in and he's made options out of the fringe players at the club. But,
fringe players? What the hell? They spent 200 and what?
Yeah, but I mean, let's say the ones that are like Fred and even I've seen McTominay a few times and even Weghorst coming in. He's made good, but whereas Arteta had to come into a completely different role where he had to just rebuild the squad from pretty much scratch, pretty much a base of 4 or 5 players, and then the rest had to go, and then a lot more had to come in. So I think it's just very different, and with Arsenal, it's taken a few years. With Man United, the money they have and the size of the club, Ten Hag comes straight into a 200 million kitty.
Yeah.
That's 2 seasons worth of appease for Arsenal. So listen, Ten Hag's done a good job, but the pressure's on him from next season. And even though Arteta was under pressure over the years as well, you kind of look back now. It's similar to what we talked about with Mudryk, and then it's Trossard, Caicedo, and then it's Jorginho. With Arteta, you look back at it now. Now you can take a step back, and the emotions are gone from those those years, those finishes, those run of results. You can say that's what we needed to get through to get to where we are now.
I think another important fact is, and again, when real long-suffering Arsenal fans will remember, at least we had a plan B now. Bro, back in the day, we would be suffering with plan C's, plan D's. When we got King Kallstrom, that was, I don't even know what that was. Even when we bought Arteta and Mertesacker, and we bought in a Cazorla, I think it was. These were all plan B, C, D, E options. This was just a panic. These were panic buys that we got those times. I feel like with the Jorginho thing, I do think it was opportunistic, and I think with the same thing with Trossard, it was an opportunist moment. Sorry, but I also think that they were on a long list of players that we really could have got. I don't think that it was just like a potluck, and we kind of just got lucky with it. I don't see it like that. But look, everyone's going to see it a bit differently. Some people still got the PTSD because they just don't trust the board, they don't trust Edu, they don't trust Arteta, whatever it is, in my opinion. But for me, I really, really do think that it wasn't as people may look at it and saying, "Oh, well, like we just got lucky with these." And I don't see it like that. I do think that it was more of an organized chaos.
Yeah, and he had to ride the pressure off the back of feet. Like, look at Ben White and Ramsdale. I was very critical of that, because I was just thinking, hold on, you're signing a keeper that's not an international, he's third, fourth choice, a centre back that's third, fourth, fifth choice at the time.
Got relegated twice as well.
And I just thought to myself, like, what's happening here? But like we just said, if you take a step back now and not only look at the form and the run of results and the finishes, look at the players that we've accrued over that time, and it's kind of fit like a puzzle this season. Obviously, it's about getting extra pieces to that puzzle, and we've done a couple of those in January, which are for the now. You mentioned we're linked to a couple more in the summer. That's probably for the now and then. So we'll see. But a couple more super chats have come in. Elijah says, "Glad you corrected yourself. You might have wanted Xhaka subbed, but if you deep it, you'd see we have been more solid with him on the pitch for time." Yeah,
I agree. Do you know what? I didn't want him subbed. I just couldn't, for the life of me, I couldn't remember. I
you were more talking about the difference in midfield.
Like just making options. But I think, sorry, my bad. Then I was talking about the Aston Villa game anyway. But yeah, sorry.
And Big Ash says, "Don't understand the lucky transfers comment. It was well prepared. I think Edu had received terrible slack from our fan base and deserves more respect."
I mean, I probably wouldn't go that far, but I do think that he is harshly criticised. But I do think that some of the signings that we have been, my thing is with the signings, and I'm not even going to spend too long on it. I just think that sometimes you're too loud in the press. However it gets out, it's getting out, and it doesn't matter if we didn't get the player. But why is everything got to be in the news? I don't know if it's not coming from Arsenal. Even this Declan Rice thing. Why is that?
Yeah, why is that broke so early?
That's all my thing is. I don't think that he's a terrible negotiator. I don't think that he doesn't know what he's doing. I don't believe all that stuff, man. But I do think that there are some things where he does show that he's a little bit wet behind the ears. And this summer and this winter will lead him on to be a better man, a better sort of CEO, transfer man for Arsenal moving forward. So listen, I can't really complain.
Mr. BP also asked, "Do you guys reckon would sign Caicedo and Rice in the summer, or is it one or the other?" Also happy to see you back, Turkish. Keep your head up, bro. Love for the love, my guy. Come 100%. On, Mr. BP in the building. On Caicedo and Rice, when Elneny signed the new contract, I looked at it and I said, well, in the 6 we've got Partey, Jorginho and Elneny now. So does that maybe sacrifice that position in the summer, because we did sign Jorginho for a year and a half? Is that now, is our recruitment in that position in terms of a younger player coming in to fill it out for a longer time? Is that now pushed back, and is the midfield signing going to probably be a 6 if there is one this summer? Is that how we're looking at it, or do you think both is still an option?
I feel like with the Rice thing, I do think that will happen. I know Man United are touted and looking around at a player like that, and I think it would suit them as well. But I do think the Rice thing will happen. I just think with the Caicedo thing, there's so much that happened so much madness. I don't think they're going to sell to us. I literally feel like they'll be stubborn. The man handed in a transfer request on Instagram and basically said, yeah, like,
release me.
Release me. Like, I don't think Brighton are going to sell to us. But if they do, and we can get a good deal, then amazing. But I don't know. I think Chelsea will, they now know. Man United now know. Like, there's going to be a lot of stuff.
Would that be your pick out of the two as well, if you could only have one?
Who, the Rice? Rice. To be honest, I like Rice, but I think there's so many better options. So I would probably go Caicedo. I think Caicedo is the difference between having a long run in the Champions League and coming out early. I really think he's that good. But you believe we need to prioritise midfield for sure? Oh, 100%. But and look, if we do get Rice, I would still be happy. I think, look, he's got some real good qualities. I just think that there is a lot of English loving around him, and I've seen quite a few players that I could probably look at and tell you right now who would probably do as good a job, maybe even a better job for half the money.
Danny here says we need an all-action midfielder to replace Xhaka. He's too slow and lacks technical ability to finish some of our great moves. And that is something I've noticed this season. But at least this season, what I'm seeing from Xhaka is something added to the starting 11. And yes, he was better with Jesus in the side for sure. He hasn't been terrible since Jesus has been out, but when Jesus was in the side, he was making those late runs, getting in that back post. He still gets a couple opportunities here and there. And yes, you'd want someone more proficient in the final third in that position, ideally. But that's the if there was one midfield position I'd go for this summer, it's definitely that position. Who we get, that's another story. I see another super chat. I'm going to save that one for Andy. I'm going to save that one because I've got a quote from Arteta on that. And Dave says Rice is one of the best midfielders in the world.
I don't know, man. I think he's got some good. Listen, the attributes, the body stats. He's like 6'3", 6'4". He's strong, agile. I just think that there are other players that can really do a better job than him, or the same job for. You don't have to pay as much money that you're going to pay for someone like him. I just think Caicedo is an absolute specialist. 21 years old. You've got him for the next 10 years easily. And there's not much difference in age between him and Declan Rice, but I just think that he's more of a specialist in what he does than what Declan Rice does. Personally.
Declan Rice is good at a bit of everything, but I think when he gets that move up next, it's going to definitely be a move up for him. We'll see, how he is at that level of football as well. Some quotes from Arteta. The first one is kind of, mentioning what we've just talked about in terms of depth. He said, the fact is we have options now. We have players coming back from injury, giving us alternatives, which are going to be crucial. Players can't maintain the same level for 10 months. It's just impossible. And he says we need to change and we have to generate alternatives and be more unpredictable for opponents sometimes as well. We have those options now. And obviously he's talking about not only Jorginho Trossard, but, Kivior too, who we're going to talk about in a sec. Emil Smith-Rowe coming back. Jesus hopefully coming back. Even Thomas Partey now coming back. And on Partey, he said he hasn't trained much. He had a session and he'll train today. It is what it is. He was out for a few weeks and he needs to get into rhythm. Do you expect to see him start against them?
I think Everton, that's a tough one. I think I read somewhere that he's only trained once since the Leicester game or something like that.
Well, again, correct me if I'm wrong, people, but I think that was he trained once before Leicester, hence why he didn't
start the game. Yeah. Okay, so if that's the case, then I probably would keep him, wrapped up still a little bit more, because the thing is with Partey, he's so easily, prone to break down when he comes back from an injury, and these are the times where you got to protect a player. Sometimes he might say, "Look, I want to start," but you got to protect him from himself. So that's a tough one. I'll probably, if he has trained and he comes through fine, then yeah, listen, man. When a Thomas Partey on the pitch is tenfold than what any other player can produce, probably other than someone like Rodri and Casemiro at this moment in time. So yeah, look, he's an absolutely amazing player, world class for me, world class player. He's probably one of the only. I put Saka in a world class bracket as well for me. So 2 world class players that we have at Arsenal. What you see from Partey, you're comparing it to the likes of Casemiro and Rodri that are world class. What we see from Saka, you're comparing it to the likes of, maybe not so much now, but the Mo Salahs of the world, the Rodrigos of the world, Vinicius Junior on the other side of the world. So for me, I just think that if you got Thomas Partey on the pitch, your chance of winning goes up exponentially, and if your chances of winning goes up, put him on the pitch, man. He can do damage. The passing, the tackling, the winning the ball back, pushing himself, pushing the ball forward, similar to what Jorginho does with the progressive passing, but he just adds that little bit more. And again, you can't replace those kind of players. I
agree. In another comment from Arteta, he was asked about players on the fringes, lack of game time, potentially leading to an exit. Kieran Tierney, for example, and Arteta said, "I don't know. I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking about what's best for the team, and obviously the players with the right to play minutes, which they deserve. We're going to try to do that in the next couple of games. Firstly, because we've got a super chat on Tierney as well. Firstly, we're going to try to do that in the next couple of games with the Europa League coming back as well. Sporting Lisbon. Our next couple games are Everton and then Bournemouth.
Yep.
And then it's the Europa League next week before a away tie against Fulham. Our only away tie in the next 4, I believe. But we're going to get into fixtures and the running as well. Do you see rotation coming up in the next 2, or do you see rotation coming up against Lisbon? Because he's mentioned, he's going to have to try to do things in the next couple of games. I
think the problem that Tierney's got, similar to what Lukongo had at, with Partey, is Zinchenko's come in and genuinely changed the way that we're seeing football right now with the inverted fullback role that he is. Not only is he inverted, he's sometimes false number 9, sometimes he's right wing, left wing, like he's absolutely everywhere. And the fact that he can move the ball, he passes the ball, intricate passes that he does, shooting from outside the box now, these are things that unfortunately Tierney doesn't do as frequently. He can do them, but not as good as and not as frequently. So Tierney's in the position that he's a very good left back. Listen, I wanted him to be Arsenal captain, so I love the guy. I think he's absolutely solid. I like the passion. I like the fact that he loves Arsenal as well, but he should be starting for a top team. He's that good. And when he's on his day, when he's marauding up and down that left wing, left back row, overlapping, getting those balls into the box, there's no one better than him. Other than, I think, Ben Chilwell on his day when he's fully fit, and Reece James, they're and obviously Robinson, they're up there with some of the top left backs in the league. But I just look at Tierney and I think to myself, it's annoying because I want you to stay, because next season we're going to be in the Champions League and we're going to need these options. We're going to need you to be fighting fit, and you bring another dimension to our game. You do the overlapping where Zinchenko doesn't, which I like. And I think sometimes there are different games where we're going to need an overlapping fullback. So it just brings another headache to the team and to Arteta, because if he wants to go. But unfortunately, I think he will be sold. I think that there are too many teams in the league that need fullbacks, and when he's fighting fit, the guy is up there with the best of them. So it's a tough one, man, because I like it. I wanted him to be Arsenal captain, and now he's on the brink of, well, it looks like an exit. So, and he's struggling for minutes, but it's hard because Zinchenko is so good at what he does. It's difficult, man.
Couple super chats on KT. Andy said, would you let KT go? The guy has been injured for most of the time. Do you think Arteta lacks trust in him? All the best for tomorrow. And Dave says, can't wait till the Scottish t-shirt salesman leaves. He's not a fan of Kieran Tierney vocally on the channel as well.
Dave, what's the issue with him though? What is it? Just the injuries, you think, or because there's a difference?
I don't think he rates him full stop as a player.
Yeah. If it's the injuries, then I can understand. If it's the quality of the player, I disagree, man. I think he's a very good fullback, but he looks limited because Zinchenko does so much now.
Yeah, but then you need the option in there, especially when you're going back to Champions League as well. So I think it's time for Arsenal to, even if a player does show a desire to leave, maybe you're staying another season. We've got a job to do. One example of many that that other clubs have managed to sort out. So as much as Tierney would definitely want more minutes, that's not even a question. Of course he'd want more minutes. At the same time, Zinchenko in that position offers something that Arteta really wants, and it's really worked for us this season. But we have won games with Kieran Tierney in the side this season as well. So I think having both is very important for the next few years, because I look at that as a position that with Zinchenko and Tierney, it's sorted. I don't need to worry about that.
There you go.
It's about focusing on depth in other positions and quality in other positions.
Yeah, and I think when I think about someone like Tierney, look, if anybody can talk a man off the cliff, it's Arteta. You saw what Odegaard said in his Players Tribune interview about how, look, he was so convinced to come to Arsenal because Arteta had a meeting with him, and he dared anybody to go into a meeting with Arteta, come out and not feel that you want to fight for this guy. So listen, he talked Xhaka off a cliff. He was £12 million to Berlin, I think it was. Kept him £10 million to Roma. kept him there. So and that was a time where stuff was peak with Xhaka.
Yeah.
Man was, I hate Arsenal. We didn't like him. So look, if anybody can, persuade him, say, look, this is the role you're going to have. You're going to get some more game time. And unfortunately, this is partly on Arteta, because he's not taking some of the cup competitions seriously. We should have still been in the FA Cup. We should have got to the final of the League Cup, knowing Brighton now, and we could have got to the, got far in that as well. Brighton went out to some poxy team in the next round as well. So
I think Charlton knocked them out.
There you go. So look, ultimately, this is again falls a little bit on him. Like, we can't talk about we want to keep these players who deserve to play and get minutes, and then you're not taking the cup game serious. You're not taking that rotation seriously for certain men. So yeah, that's the way I would look at it.
Hit says can't let Katie go. If Zini gets injured, it's peak. So
but yeah, it's not peak though, because you got Tomiyasu, bro,
which he's kind of went for in a couple games this season over Tierney in that position. So
he locked up Salah earlier on in the season as well. So that's where I think it's hard.
That's where yeah.
And I think because we've got Brooke Norton-Cuffy coming back next season, who looks a bad boy fullback. I know he's 20, but he looks solid.
He does.
And then we'll link to that Spanish Ivan Freixa from
the one that we was going for in
in
January.
Yeah. So I think because of that might lead, if we get a little 40-50 million, I think look, the club's gonna say, look, you've done well for us. You won the Premier League for us. Helped us to do that. You came in. You've been solid. You've been professional all the time. You put your body in the line. You've not worn a t-shirt. Well, you've not worn a jacket in for like 3 years, 4 years since you come, because he always likes to train in his t-shirts and his shorts. Fair play to you, man. Go to do whatever you want to do.
And Dave adds on, he's overrated in regards to Tierney, and fans try to force him in and criticise Mikel Arteta. But listen, another quote from Mikel Arteta. Don't want to stick too much on Tierney, because he mentioned Kivior and Emil Smith-Rowe, game time for under 21s. He said they were really good. Obviously, they needed some minutes, and at the moment, they haven't had much exposure for different reasons. It was great to see them on the field, because we're going to need them again in the next couple of games. So he's mentioning potential rotation in the next couple of games a lot. I assume that means a bit more than a couple, with Lisbon round the corner too. But did you see any of the...
Yeah, I did. I watched from like the 25th minute. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think ESI looked that good, I thought it's hard because the level that we know he can... And part of it was because I thought that the under-21s himself actually didn't play well, so it didn't suit him. But he wasn't really great on the ball at times. He was a bit sloppy with his touches and stuff. And this is normal. He's been out for so long. I think he had a groin injury. He's had growing pains. There's
a mental side to it as well.
There's a lot that's been going on with him. And, it's been a real stop-start since he's been an Arsenal player. Constant injuries. He went on loan to was it Leipzig he went on loan to? He came back. And was it on Leipzig?
It might have been Leipzig.
I'm sure it was Leipzig. He
went someone like that, yeah.
In Germany, he didn't really play as much. He came back and then he got his chance. So it's been a real stop-start career for him. And I just think that right now, last season, I think he got 11 or 10 goals for us last season. Really was an impactful player from the bench as well at times. And I just think that he needs to have I don't think he's going to have an impact this season. I really don't. I think he's going to take him a bit of time to work himself back. He reminds me of a Thomas Partey. If Partey comes back injured, we know we're not going to see the best of him for at least a month. And I think that ESR is not going to get enough game time. I also think that he's not going to have enough of a run in this team to fully get himself back under the table and, scoring those goals and being, getting into the box late, what he's been doing over the last couple of seasons. Because, listen, the hardest thing to do in football is to score goals, and he does that. The hardest thing to do is to be, penetrative with your runs and be really, really secure with what you're doing on the pitch, because he's technically up there. But it's just, he's missing something. He's missing that something right now, and he needs to get the game time, but he's also not going to get the game time because Arteta is not going to trust him, man. Not right now. Look, he's got his core 14 players. My man's not really even going to be making it. I'll be shocked if he starts making the bench for Arsenal consistently as well, because we've got so many players. We've got so many players.
Yeah, he said we've got options now.
Reece Nelson isn't even on the bench. And the wonderful thing, but sometimes annoying thing in life, is options. Sometimes if you go out and you see a little girl and you got a girl at home and that, bro, girl come up to you and you listen. I shouldn't say that because I don't.
You said it, my bro. No comment. That's my answer.
Listen, man. Hey, Joe, rewind that, man. Get rid of that. I might not go home tonight, bro.
But I get you in terms of options being a good thing and a bad thing, and certain players having to understand, and I get it. But yeah, that's Mikel Arteta's press conference bits out of the way. There is a few super chats that I missed out earlier because it just didn't go into the flow, but I'm going to go back to them. Haynes said Rice is an English Kessie, average at best. Young Gunner says, I feel like one factor that holds us back is not having a plan B striker up front. He mentions Mitrovic as an option. I also think we would benefit from an attacking right back. In terms of Mitrovic or a different type of striker, yes, I've 100% called for that for a long time. It'd be nice to have another option to be able to do something different. And I think the games against Everton, Brentford, and then City kind of all showed that maybe another option, a different type, would make sense.
You know what, bro? The guy for me, but we ain't going to be able to get him, Tony, bro. I think the thing I like about Tony is, look, he started off at Newcastle, they are a big team, no matter what anyone wants to say.
Yeah.
He then went to Brentford. He's revamped himself, redefined himself, redesigned himself. He's had a good season last season. He's had an even better season this season. Scored against some big teams, including us, including Man City away. I think he scored against Chelsea. And Liverpool as well. He scored some big goals as well. But that sort of pending case that he's got right now, it's looking.
You don't know how it's not.
Bro, like when you got 200 charges, that's looking spooky. But like, listen, we spoke about the Man City thing. I'll be surprised if they even bust case because of the amount of cases that they've got. Well, the amount of allegations they've got going against them. So if he gets through all of them, amazing. But I would love even Tony. I think he's
that would have been my go-to before these allegations, because I see what Trippier got. I think Trippier got 8-month ban for about 10 allegations.
I just can't see
and Tony's got what, 100?
200.
Well, there you go. So
it's too much, man.
Even if he gets away with 190, he's still looking at 8 months with the 10. If we go by what Trippier got.
It's not looking good for him, man. It's not looking good. So I hope, but listen, I hope he gets through it, man, because listen,
he's been building.
And I think for him, he would have gone for World Cup for England. I think he really would. I don't think Callum Wilson would have gone, and I think they didn't want to put that shame on the country, but they didn't want to have that kind of stigma around why you bringing a guy like this, and are they going to get behind him and stuff like that. So
they take their attention away.
There you go. But I think he's ready to take the next step, and I just don't think that he's going to get that move, unfortunately, which is obviously sad for him.
Couple more left, and then we're going to move on to the final topic. Big Ash says, guys, KT just doesn't suit Arteta's style, and he didn't buy him. If we do sell him for 30 mil plus, we can get another right back scouted by Arteta. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to see past what you've got, especially if you like what you've got. So I get that. But like you said before, he's been more hit than miss with his transfers over the last however many years. And Vid says, best up from Philly, Guna Lee, you're in trouble.
listen, man, I might have to go home with Turkish now. You got space on the
I don't know about that.
Listen, mate.
No, of course, my guy. If shit hits the fan, just shout me, man. But yeah, last topic. I mean, I was looking at the fixtures in regards to Arsenal today, so I looked at the fixtures in regards to City. Not long left. There's an international break coming up at the end of March. FA Cup fixtures for City as well. I assume they'll beat Bristol tonight, so I assume they'll be playing again just before international break, I believe. But Arsenal's next 4 fixtures: Everton home, Bournemouth home, Fulham away, which is obviously sandwiched in between Sporting Lisbon away and then home. And then Crystal Palace, but we're just looking at the Premier League here. So Everton, Bournemouth, Palace at home, and Fulham away, and then it's the international break. Man City have Newcastle home, Palace away, and then West Ham at home. But they beat Bristol. That West Ham at home game gets rescheduled. So Newcastle and Palace being there, only 2 Premier League games left from now until the end of March, going into April. We win all our games. We got 8 points clear going into April after that international break. Should it be 4 wins out of 4? Everton, Bournemouth, Palace home, and Fulham away.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm so scared to answer this because I'm shook that Laurie's watching this, bro. Because I got in trouble because I was looking past the Brentford game. I was looking past that guy into the Man City game, and we obviously took a little blow in the Brentford game, and then we took an even bigger blow in the Man City game. So
1 game
I should do a 1 game at a time thing. But if I'm looking at them on paper, looking at those games, I think we have to win all of those. I think that this is the period where we've got the easier games, even though in the Premier League there aren't no real easy games. But I think in this league for this season, we have to take advantage of, especially being at home. The Crystal Palace, they're not playing well right now.
Yeah,
they're struggling. I don't think they've won a game in 2023.
They haven't.
They've also got Lokonga, who there's now not going to be able to play because he's obviously played an Arsenal player. Bournemouth, if we don't beat them by like 3 goals, I'd be quite shocked. I think that we should be able to slap them up quite relatively easy. And then I think the game tomorrow is absolutely. I'm worried about that one. I am a little bit worried. I just think sometimes when there's so many things going against a team that they sometimes get out of it. And
not again against us though, because they did that once already.
I know. But listen, the fact that they lost the game against Aston Villa at home, they're not going to come and, try and, they're not going to want to get beat again. Let's just say that. And Sean Dyche is a very, very pragmatic manager. So I'm very worried about that.
Arteta, I think, has only beaten him once out of 6 attempts.
I am worried about that one. I am. And I think sometimes when Arsenal have a lot of expectation, listen, we are so good that I should be backing us, and I am backing us. I think we actually will win, but I am worried. The same way how I was a little bit worried about the Brentford game as well, which turned out to be a draw. So, look, I think if no VAR gets involved and we actually, we play the way we should play, especially at home again on a wider pitch, they've got no Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who caused us some real problems in that game. So, yeah, that tomorrow's game, I think we should be able to handle that. The Fulham game is spooky though, because
they're doing very well right now.
Not only are they doing well, I think they've dropped off a little bit. I know Polina is not going to be playing for them because obviously he's got 10 yellow cards now this season. But I think the main thing we've been struggling, especially in 2023, is long balls in the air, and also just that ruggedness against top strikers. We saw it against Brentford with the 3 strikers that they kind of had, even Visa when he came on as well. We saw it against Man City because Haaland absolutely at times moved up Gabriel. So I'm just a bit worried that real men factor. Mitrovic is a guy that he's going to come and step up for the fight. Willian coming back. He's going to want. We're going to his ground. Willian's played well since he's come back from I think Brazil. So that's another thing that's kind of worrying me. So I do think that away game, especially just after the Sporting game at home, I think it should be a 2:00 kick-off on a Sunday. That's the game where I'm a little bit worried, only because of how I've seen Arsenal, defend over maybe not the last 2 games, but the games before that, even against Aston Villa. Not winning our first balls, not winning the second balls, things that we've been so good at this season. So there has been a little bit of a drop off, but I still expect Arsenal to win all 4 of those games, and I'd be very, very shocked, and I'd be quite disappointed if we didn't, because looking at those games that Man City have, the Newcastle on the weekend, I think it will be a difficult game for them, but they should be able to pack them in. Win.
Palace away,
they also have Champions League, don't they? They have another Champions League game
next week.
No, I think it's the week after that. They play on the 16th, I think, of March, which should be. Is it the Crystal Palace game?
That'll be after the Palace.
It'll be after
before the FA Cup game.
So yeah, that could play into a factor. I know they obviously struggle against Crystal Palace at times, but again, Crystal Palace are so poor at this moment in time.
You can't see it.
I can't see it, but listen, hopefully Uncle Paddy.
Does a job.
Do us a job, man.
Do us a job. Because listen, I agree with you. We should win our next 4, and I think City should win their next 2/3. If they get knocked out of the FA Cup, they got West Ham the week before international break. But like I said, Bristol away for City, they should get the job done. And then listen, whether it's 5 points, whether it's 8 points, 6 points, whatever it is moving into April. We need a lead.
This is where this happens.
Because now the fixtures kind of favour, in my opinion, Manchester City. Because after international break, there's 10 games left. We've both got 5 home games. We've both got 5 away games. I've picked out the most difficult fixtures, in my opinion, for both clubs. Starting with Arsenal. Liverpool away, West Ham away, Man City away, and Newcastle away. On paper, looking at it from now, those 4 are very difficult games, and we need to win at least a couple of those, if I'm honest with you, in order to be confident that we can get over the line. Man City, which I've kind of struggled to pick out the most difficult, because in comparison to ours, I don't think it's nowhere near as difficult. Liverpool at home, Manchester City, obviously Etihad, Brighton away, Fulham away, and Brentford away. Now, one thing about City is this season they have dropped points surprisingly at times against teams that you wouldn't have seen them drop points against in seasons gone past. So Brighton away, Fulham away, Brentford away, they're going to be potential slip-ups.
Yeah.
But looking at both on paper, Arsenal's last 10 fixtures holds the weightier games in terms of
It's mad
pressure.
as well, because you're right. We've also got Brighton at home, who we've struggled against, especially at home. I don't think we've won against them at home in a little while. We also lost against them in the Carabao Cup. So it's not actually the best running that we've got. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be real difficult. But look, I think the big equaliser is if we can pick up a point against Man City away, I think we should be able to win the title. I think we can't. The Liverpool game is spooky because you just don't know. You don't know if they're going to, turn up like they did against Real Madrid for the first 20 minutes, but do that over the course of the season.
They can't continue being this bad.
They can't. They also are going for the top 4. If they win their 2 games in hand, they're really going to be going for the top 4. Luis Diaz is going to be back, and Jota's coming back now, so they will get more games under their belt. They will be out of the Champions League by then, I'm sure. So that would also mean that they really need to go for that top 4. So that's going to be a real difficult game, and we don't have the best record up there at all. So that's the first thing. I think the West Ham away, again, they're going to be fighting for their lives because they don't want to get relegated. Man City, listen, the less we speak about that, the better. We won't beat them in 11 tries. And then obviously the Newcastle away from last season, the ghost of past Christmases. That is going to be an absolute. Again, they're going for the top 4 as well. So yes, they're struggling to score goals, but at home, I would back them to have a good performance, not to win, but I would back them to have a good performance. But look, we're going to be getting Jesus back. Hopefully, we're going to be getting Partey back. So on this flip side of things, let me be a bit more positive, because we are a very good team, and we've got some really good players. And maybe I'm not giving us enough credit. I really should do, but it just on paper. That's going to be a spooky month, man. If you think January was spooky,
this one's going to be mad.
This one's going to be mad.
But whatever happens in the next few fixtures, we're still going to be in and around each other.
There you go.
Going into that last 10 games and those crucial fixtures.
Look, Man City might have Champions League, so they might, have a couple of draws instead of actually winning games. They might do a Nottingham Forest,
for us,
which will be absolutely massive. But I think it needs to be between now and April, which is obviously not going to be the case, where we need to make sure that we have a good lead. So it has to be at least 5 points. If it's not, titles looking.
Like I said, I'm going to say it again. We win our next 4: Everton, Emirates, Bournemouth, Emirates, Fulham away, Crystal Palace, Emirates. If we win our next 4 games, then the lead will be at least 8 points, even if City win their 2.
Yeah.
Which is mad. And I do expect City
and
to
you know
win
what?
those 2
Even
as well.
last season, right? It was the effect of like the whole COVID thing. It was games in hand. Games in hand don't mean nothing. We need to have the points on the board. That's what everyone was speaking about last season, where we had 3 games in hand over Spurs and we still finished 5th in the end because we didn't have enough. We lost players, and fatigue and all of these things started setting in. Sky Sports did their whole hokey pokey and made sure that Spurs against Arsenal was put at the right time for us to kind of crumble, in my opinion. So it might not be the best thing for them to have games in hand because they know they have to win. They can't drop points, and that might go into playing to the teams that they're playing against. And there are factors that go into it. But listen, I just think that Arsenal cannot go into these top games thinking a draw is the best result. I think we have to go in there and say, do you know what, we have to win. Let's win, because ultimately we're going for the title, bro. Like, you don't want to crawl to the title, man, because not only is my heart can't take it, I don't think their hearts can take it, because do they have the bottle? Do they actually have, squeaky bum time? Do they have it? I don't know, because I've seen a couple of games over the last couple of weeks where I think some things got to them. Maybe it happens in the title run, and Man City have done it. So can we hold that hold our own? It's gonna be interesting to find out, isn't it?
And let's just wrap it up with the Everton game. Andy says we got beaten by Everton because of the new manager occasion. It's always tricky with that kind of occasion.
Yeah, look, Andy, 100% I agree. I just think sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case, sometimes teams have our cards marked. And Brighton's had it over the last couple of seasons. We used to struggle a little bit against Wolves. Back in the day, we used to struggle against teams like Blackburn, Bolton. Yeah. So we've had some teams that have just had it against us. And Everton, we've got a great record against them at home. I know we did the box-to-box, which I'm looking forward to watching. I haven't seen it yet. So
it comes out at 8 p.m.
It comes out a bit later on. So I'm going to be interested to see what they're saying from their Everton side of things. But I just think sometimes we can go into games and be a little bit you know, over the top, like thinking that it's, and then you don't perform, or we don't perform for the first half, and then second half you're just like really trying to bring it back. But I'm confident, man. I still think we'll win. It's just it's going to be hard. And look, I saw a comment in there. This is our chance. It's our chance. We have to win, man. We have to win. We have to.
Yeah, build that cushion again and see how Man City mentally react. They close the gap, and then the gap comes back within a couple of weeks.
Oh, listen, man. Just you know what?
Sounds good, innit?
If we beat Man City away, I don't think it matters about anything else. I think if we beat Man City away, I think we win the league. I think that's how, and I think we can beat them. I think we didn't play to the level we should have played at when we played them at home. I think we wasn't up to the levels, and I think we let them off the hook. But
second half,
100%.
First half, I think you know we deserved maybe even the lead going into half time. But 1-1, we made the mistake. It cost us. But second half, we let ourselves down. But you know, you might be right. It might come down to that game. As long as we do our job in the other games, that means that game will be one that, you know, could be a decider come the time, depending on the point difference. And I think because we've got Liverpool first, so if let's say we lost the game, and they've equal points that we've just been winning and whatnot, they're gonna be, if they win the game, they'll be 2 points behind us again, and then it goes to that game. That'll be like everything's riding on that. We can either make it 5 points, we can keep it to 2 points, or we're behind them, bro. So that's where it gets a bit But then Gunning You Down says every game is tough. We can't go into any game thinking, oh, it'll be easy. Every team will play a low block against us. Does the low block worry you now? Because this is the time of the season, the teams lower down the table tend to step it up a bit, tend to be a lot more rigid and a lot more hard to stay in the league.
The only reason why I'm not as worried because Jesus is coming back. And I think Jesus is that equaliser.
He opens it up.
He just, with Trossard and Jesus and then Martinelli, we kind of interchange and swap, and I think there's a lot of stuff that we can work with. Jorginho, he's the way we've seen how we can unlock defenses. You give him time, that's the worst thing that you're going to do because he can find a pass. So there's so many things that, you know, I'm not as worried with the low block. I'm not as worried as some of the others, but I'm also thinking to myself, man, bro, that game against Leicester, even then, like it was so controlled and I was still shitting myself. So it's going to be like that for the next 14, 15 games, man.
Every single
it's going to be hard, man. It's going to be hard, and I'm just thinking, this is our chance. This is our chance.
100%.
Not only because I think next season is going to be more challenging. I also just think that we've got ourselves in this position. We've got ourselves here. We kind of messed it up, and now we've got another chance. So this is the chance. This is the moment. Look, Arsenal, grab it by it with both hands. Grab it by the scruff of your neck, and just listen. No regrets, man. That's what Zinchenko said. No regrets. Having fun with it, but no regrets, man. Because even if we don't win it, don't go out there shook and frigid and thinking, like, I don't want to play my football, man. Do your thing, man. You've been doing it all season. We beat top teams at home. We beat some top teams away. I was going to say Spurs, but then I remembered they're not a top team. So, yeah, it is what it is, man.
So I expect our squad to outrun Everton for second balls, defend better against the long balls, and be more clinical with the chances we create. I agree. We have to be. I'm with the home team now. So let's end it with a prediction, Lee. I've raised my predictions from 2-0 to 3-0 this week, from Big Six to Forever, and now box to box. I'm thinking a victory. I'm thinking another clean sheet. You know, I'm gassed off the back of the Leicester clean sheet. I can't lie, because it's been a little while since I felt solid. Looked at the game and said that was solid, and it was from top to bottom. So I'm gonna stick with 3-0. I can see it 2-0, whatever. 3-0. What do you predict for the Everton game tomorrow night?
Do you know what? I'm gonna say 3-1. I was going to say 3-0, but I just think sometimes at home we do lose a little bit of concentration, where I think away from home we're on it. We're on it. So I'm going to say 3-1, but I think it should be a good game, and I think we should dominate it. Not having Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a big loss for them, but I just feel like something from the corner or something, they'll just get it. But it's not going to be as easy as I think a lot of people think it will be. But
Calm.
Let's hope.
3-0, 3-1. Let us know in the comment section what you guys think as well. All of that prediction, thoughts, key battles. What would your lineup be? Is it Trossard up top? Is Partey back in it? Or do you think we can get the job done with a similar lineup against Everton at home? Still 2.7k here. So listen, people, do a couple of things. My channel is always tagged in. My Guna Lee's channel is also tagged in. Make sure you subscribe to Guna Lee, because you've got content coming out.
Yeah. I'll be doing a live tomorrow. As I said, there's 2.75 whatever it is in here. make sure you guys go and subscribe, man. I'm trying to do some big things. Some of the inspiration, someone like Turkish as well. So yeah, listen, make sure you go and subscribe, man. Big AFTV family, big Arsenal family. So yeah, like I'm trying to do big things, man. So I'll have a video out for the preview for the Everton game tomorrow morning. So yeah, listen, trying to keep going. And listen, man, in the words of Robbie, we're gonna do this.
Come on, listen, people, subscribe to Goonily. Lee, as always,
listen,
my guy.
man, I love.
Come on, G.
Appreciate it.
And make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, links in the title. Show some love to Lee, people. 100%. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow for Match Day Live, the start and 11, all of that, people. So make sure you subscribe, make sure the notification bell is on, hit the like button on the way out. Love for the love, people. Tune in to Box at 8 p.m. Peace.